have you with us tonight, folks. Thanks for watching. Big day at the Supreme Court. The court heard its third case against the Affordable Care Act. Conservative think tanks argue there's a few words in Obamacare that make it illegal for the government to issue subsidies in states where there are federal exchanges. And the wording at issue here is very narrow. It is, quote, an exchange established by the state. Now, if the court rules against Obamacare, we are talking about enrollees in 34 states losing their health care, losing their subsidies. We're talking 7.5 million Americans in danger of losing their health care. Now, the decision would only affect low-income Americans. People who buy their own health care insurance without subsidies could not be affected. Now, the court's ruling is expected to come out in late June or early July. And this is just really the latest conservative attempt to tarnish President Obama's signature legislation. Earlier today, Tea Party activists, they're out there, elected officials on the Republican side showing up in front of the Supreme Court with their typical rhetoric.
It's important you're here to protect those people that don't know how bad the government controlling their health care can be.
And that's all that needs to be asked inside these chambers. Does the wish of the president trump the will of the people? If that's the case, then we have an emperor, not a president.
There's no example on the face of the earth where government-run health care is going to be delivered at a lower cost and is going to save you money and yield better outcomes.
Chief Justice John Roberts did not ask a question today during the hearing, but in 2005, he did say this.
I will decide every case based on the record, according to the rule of law, without fear or favor, to the best of my ability. And I will remember that it's my job to call balls and strikes and not to pitch or bat.
Okay, well, if he's just calling balls and strikes, and we're right down to this. Is it constitutional for the federal government to hand out subsidies to Americans so they can get some health care? That's where we are. But I think the big mission here is this: set the table so this country never has universal health care. And I bet 90% of the American people out there don't get exactly what's being wrangled in front of the Supreme Court, but there are 7.5 million Americans out there wondering tonight, hey, I did this Obamacare thing and it's working out pretty good. Now they're going to take it away from me? Get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think. Tonight's question: do you trust Chief Justice John Roberts to call balls and strikes? Text A for yes, text B for no to 67622. Leave a comment at our blog at msnbc.com. We're going to bring you the results later. We got a lot of people to talk on this tonight. The best person we find in Congress on this is Congressman Jim McDermott, who is a doctor. He was there in the Supreme Court today. Congressman, good to have you with us. What did you hear? What did the Supreme Court say today, and how do you think things went?
Well, I went in pretty optimistic because I have never seen this case as being one that had any real legitimacy. The questioning of the judges, as it always is, was probative. They were poking at both the plaintiff and at the defense of by the government, but basically it was clear that they were not convinced that this was a legitimate attack on Obamacare.
So you came away with the sense that these 7.5 million Americans don't have anything to worry about.
Well, you can never quite say that, Ed. I'm not a lawyer, but from being a doctor and a psychiatrist and watching people for a long time, I would say that the vote's going to be either 5-4 or 6-3. I think it will be in favor of Obamacare being continued. The idea that John Roberts would want his legacy to be, I threw 7 million people out of health care, is not the kind of thing that makes good sense. You think about that, and I would think he'd work pretty hard to find a way to make this work.
You have written that there's no plan B, that the Republicans to this day don't have anything to replace it if that ruling were to come down tonight.
That's absolutely correct. They talk about silly things. They talk about the COBRA plan. Now, COBRA works if you lose your job, you can buy your own insurance maybe for 18 months at the full cost. Well, most of the people that these 7 million people we'd be throwing out are people that already have subsidies. They won't be able to pay full cost.
I'll tell you what the country's not paying attention to. and that is these folks who are close to retirement, who are kind of working part-time jobs or 2 jobs from the ages of 58 to 64. They're on Obamacare, they're low income, and they are really being helped by this until they go to the next government opportunity. That would be Medicare. That's
Absolutely.
where a lot of people are affected. And it's really an attack on the elderly, in a sense, as I see it. And the mindset of the Republicans is, well, is it going to be the will of the president or the will of the people? Excuse me, Barack Obama was elected twice. We had a vote on this. It passed the legislative body. But in the big picture, if they don't have Plan B, do you think that this court ruling would set the table to make it hard for America to get universal health care someday?
No, I think if this court case comes down, we will move directly to a single-payer system. We will move in that direction because the American people recognize that in every other industrialized country in the world, they have health insurance. And they're saying, this is what we have and we're going to make it work. If the Republicans succeed in dragging it down, there will be a push from the people which brought Medicare to us once before, and you'll see the same thing happen for everybody.
All right, we got a lot of voices on this tonight. Congressman Jim McDermott, good to have you with us. Appreciate your time.